we're looking at just the champions, Hecarim is is probably the most powerful champion in the game, but he's currently in a very bad pack for our current deck. And so to sort of talk about, and sort of, you know, go over the way the Reddit post works and stuff like that, let's go ahead and just sort of talk about what we're going to be doing here. So when we start our trial, I'll sort of break it down for you guys. When you start your trial, you're given 3 choices here, okay? And with these 3 choices, you have now access to this expedition sheet here, which is a pretty valuable resource. This expedition sheet here is actually going to give you the ability to look at the packs offered, Afterlife, Shield Wall, Noxian Might, and see if they are good for the champions that you are being offered currently. You can take the expedition draft pack here, draft pack, you know, contents basically, and we can look at Suit Up for Fiora, and we can see that, you know, Suit Up has Prismatic Barrier in it, it's got Laurent Protege, the Blade Keeper, Repose as well. It's got Bright Shield Protector, Redoubled Valor, Judgment in it, and those are really good. Like, those are like really, really powerful cards. I lied, we're looking at Shield Wall. Lol, we're looking at Shield Wall. So we're looking at Bright Steel Protector, Prismatic Barrier, and Bright Steel Formation is really strong, right? So it has also War Chefs. War Chefs is really, really good in single combat. So it's got some good cards for Fiora. Some cards that you would not mind picking up, definitely. So we look at Afterlife for Callista here. We got Afterlife for Callista. Afterlife is probably the best Callista pack because it's the one that only she comes in, and it's just got a very, very strong emphasis on fearsome units and units that you want to have die. Look, Warden's Prey you want to have die. Cursed Keeper you want to have die. Scribe of Sorrows brings back stuff. The Undying you want it to die. Chronicler of Ruin kills stuff. Wraithcaller makes very good mist wraiths. You know, comes in with extra units here. Soul Gorger is really powerful at stabilizing. Vengeance is good removal, and Rekindler is obviously big value when you're playing champions, right? So there's a lot going on here for the Afterlife pack. So Callista's, you know, pretty high value, and Noxian Might, I believe, is the Darius pack here. Yeah, it's the Darius pack. So obviously very good with Darius. It's got the Rear Guard, which is one of the better 1-drops. That and Saboteur, right, are the good 1-drops for Noxian Might. Looks over Noxus rather, not Noxian Might, but Trifarian Hopeful is a very powerful 2-drop. The 5/2. Reckless Trifarian is hyper aggressive, and then like Decimate, Trifarian Assessor, Shield Breaker, Reckoning. So you can use your knowledge of the cards, and this sort of resource tool here to look at what cards are being offered to you, and what champions you have to determine like so like you can determine like that, you know, which champions are the best, right? And so after we look at the sheet here, honestly all of these are fair offerings, Fiora being the worst pack offering in Shield Wall, but the best champion here. And so you have to, as a player, you have to sort of look at and determine, you know, what do I value more? Do I value the champion at this point more, or do I value the pack seeding more, right? And be completely honest, like Callista is in a very good pack, and Fiora's in an okay pack, and Darius is in a very good pack. The Darius pack, if we look at it, has 2 very powerful 2-drops, the Grenadier and the Trifarian Hopeful, and the Callista pack has Scribe of Sorrows, which is like not as powerful, but it has Glimpse. So, and Fiora's sitting on an Unguard, which the more I play with it, the less and less enthused I am about it. It's a pretty good one of, but like you end up picking more of them up because they are so abundant in Shield Wall that I have too many of them very, very often. We're going to actually take the Darius pack here. Darius is also one of those champions that's just very good in expeditions because it doesn't require any extra work. All you have to do is hit your opponent and Darius levels up. And Darius is also just a very good finisher. We're going to grab the Darius pack here. Right? And so then you're again offered another set of champions. And so if we look at, now we have Yasuo here. and Yasuo's in Disruption, which is good, because we've also drafted Noxus, so we can get Disruption. So if we look, if we pull up the spreadsheet again, so here is where you get to make a very important decision when you're completely, fully seeding your packs, right? So you've got Relentless, Shadows and Dust, and Disruption, okay? Now, Yasuo is a very, very powerful pack here if you get the Disruption, because you will also have access to the Disruption Noxus portion of this. And that gives you Intimidating Roar, gives you Decisive Maneuver, Minotaur Reckoner, which is probably the best unit in the game to pair with Yasuo, gives access to Arachnoid Sentry, and Guile, right? These are very, very powerful cards, right? And Yasuo is one of those champions that it sort of feels like when he hits the board, you can't lose with him on the board, but you can't win without him. He's more of an all-in champion and very, very spooky to play with. And so Yasuo, while in a good pack there, you kind of want to think about it quite a bit before you commit. We have Relentless, what's her name? We have Relentless Katarina, which would actually put us in a purely Relentless pack, which is a hyper-aggressive Saboteur, Battlecaster, Drummer, Trifarian Hopeful, Whirling Death, very, very aggressive deck, because we already have Noxian Might. So we're looking at the best one-drops with Saboteur and Rearguard. We have access to Elixir of Wrath. Both of these have Trifarian Hopeful, which means we're going to have quite a few of them. Statistically speaking, we're likely to have a bunch of Trifarian Hopefuls, which is very powerful, and Whirling Death, which is our most powerful removal. Might, you can see, when you have packs that have cards that overlap, you can sort of expect to get a bunch of them. Or it is inferred that you will get a bunch of them. And so we can go purely Noxus here and have a very aggressive, very low to the ground aggro deck, with Katarina being an okay champion, but Darius being a very, very good finisher. And then we have the Shadows and Dust, which is, Hecarim. And so here's how you can tell. That, what is a good pick. So we have both Disruption and Relentless here, which are going to give you access to these packs, these extra cards here, right? That you know about. What you can see on here, though, is that Shadows and Dust is not on here. You'd have to go over to the Shadow Isles pack and look at Shadows and Dust, and you are limiting yourself to these cards being offered to you, unless you somehow dip into Ionia for a third faction, or third region rather, right? So you'd have to dip into Ionia to get access to these picks. So you're very limited in what is available here. Now, if it was Arachnophilia, then you obviously we'd have access to these as well. But it's not. So you can tell that, and this is how you can make these informed decisions, and I hope this information is helpful for you guys. So you can see that the Shadows and Dust pack is very, very limited in what we get access to, and while we are trying to play an aggressive deck, we're also looking at cards like Fading Memories, which isn't particularly valuable, Mark of the Isles, which is going to kill our units. It's a powerful pump spell, but it's going to kill our units. Soul Shepherd does nothing for this deck, right? Haunted Relic is not going to really do much. It's not going to leave us with any defense. But granted, we are trying to be pretty aggressive. Stirred Spirits is okay. Shark Chariot can't block, right? So we're looking at this, and Phantom Prankster does nothing for us on offense. Onslaught of Shadows does nothing for us on defense. Rekindler is good, but Rekindler and Mark of the Isles are pretty much the only cards that I'm looking at here that would be valuable. We can, now, Hecarim, if we're looking at just the champions, Hecarim is probably the most powerful champion in the game, but he's currently in a very bad pack for our current deck, right? And so this is how you can use this spreadsheet to make informed decisions about how to seed correctly. So while Hecarim, again, is the most powerful champion probably in the game right now, he's probably going to get nerfed. What we have offered here in the Shadows and Dust seeding is not valuable to our deck, right? We can go purely a Relentless here, and we actually have a Marauder here. Marauder is one of those really, really unique cards that just wins games on its own, and Katarina facilitates an extremely crazy Marauder turns. Plus, we also have Might, which is the best pump spell in the game, in my opinion. The best pump spell in the game because it gives Overwhelm and +3/+0. And Yasuo, again, is more of an all-in champion where you focus on Yasuo and only Yasuo. And Yasuo is, like I said, a very, very all-in, very, very high risk, high reward is what I would put Yasuo at, because if we are able to pick up Guiles, pick up Arachnoid Sentries, pick up you know, the stun everything card, I can't remember what it's called, then like Yasuo can't lose when he hits the board. But Katarina is the safest and most consistent pick for us here. Plus it has Marauder, which is a card that I'm a huge fan of because of how it works in expeditions. Every time you attack with it, you know, Marauders everywhere get +1/+1, right? So if you have 5, 6, 7, 8, it is Intimidating Roar. You're 100% correct decision. Thank you. If you get like, you know, 5, 6, 7 Marauders in your deck and you attack with one of them, then they all get +1/+1. You attack with two of them, they all get +2/+2, right? You know, see what I'm saying here? So the Marauders actually kind of like snowball out of control if you get enough of them. So we're gonna pick up to this and go purely Noxus here. Now you'll see that you're offered, you know, other factions when you have a synergy pick, but you can see here, and this is sort of described in my Reddit post, right? If we go to the Reddit post here, once you've seeded your packs, you know, you pick up your you know, Disruption Darius or whatever, you pick up your packs, and then when you go to our synergy pick, we're offered those seeded packs, right? So we pick up, in this example, right, we would pick up the Elise, the Arachnophilia Elise, and we pick up the, I believe it's the Disruption Darius, and then you go down here, and for your synergy pick, you'll see that you have Arachnophilia and Disruption. And that is mirrored here, where we have the Relentless Katarina and the Noxian Might Darius. And so we know that we're going to get offered these packs, or these types of packs, on our synergy picks, which is 3, 5, 7, 9, etc., right? And so you can make these informed decisions when you're seeding your pack and trying to create the best deck possible. And again, this has Marauder plus Whirling Death, which is removal, very valuable to us. So we're gonna pick up this pack. And then on the wild packs, right, on the wild picks, you are not guaranteed to get one of your seeded packs. We did here. You're not guaranteed to. These could be just three random ones. But we did get a Glory Seeker and a Rearguard. We're gonna 100% pick this up. And so you can see how seeding your decks and your packs properly leads to, like, what we're going to be drafting here is an extremely aggressive, extremely low to the ground aggro deck. So we already have one Trifarian. Hopefully there's another second one here. We have a Rearguard and a Reckless Trifarian. We're trying to make sure that we have as many 1-drops as we possibly can because we're trying to play an aggressive deck here. We're going to 100% pick up the Rearguard and the Reckless Trifarian here. And so we've got our Noxian Might pack here, which is a 1 and a 2 drop. Again, we're just trying to stay low to the ground and very aggressive here. So we're going to pick up the Rearguard and the Grenadier. And anytime we see a Legion Marauder, we're going to be picking them up because we have 2 of them already. Like 4 is where they get really, really good. 5 is where they get insane, and 6 is where, like, you pretty much are 7xing the draft. So is War Chefs and Lancer not a consideration for that wild pick? So here's the thing. When drafting sort of a mono region deck, Puny, when you draft a 3rd region, it really throws a wrench. So what you'd have to do is you'd have to look. Do you know what pack that was? I don't remember which pack it was. I didn't really look at it. But it would have had to have been Relentless. It was probably Relentless. It's probably would have had to have been. I guess it was a wild pick, so it could have been anything. But you said it had Lancer, so it probably wasn't Relentless. But you'd have to look at the pack, right? So you'd have to go back and look at the pack, like whatever the Demacian pack was that has, what is it, Lancer and Chef. So if we look here, so we have Chef. It's one of these packs somewhere. I don't remember. But anyways, so you'd have to look basically and see which pack it was and which one, and then to determine, like, if it was worth it to dip into that, right? Because you're essentially like pseudo seeding a 3rd region into your a 3rd pack into your draft, and that can really mess with your offerings. And so when you're playing mono, like a solo or single region, it's pretty important to make sure that you understand, like, why you're picking solo region. Like Demacian Steel is an example, right? Demacian Steel is where you can pick up as many Bannermen as possible, as many elites as possible, right? And the smiths, right? So decisions. What that means is that we basically we haven't mapped that pack yet, or like that Lancer Warchef's pack yet. And so I'll probably end up going back after the stream. Now that I'm just gonna make a note about that. We'll go back after the stream, and then we'll update the sheet. So it's not 100% complete. We're working on updating it as best as possible. We've probably got like 85-ish% of the packs mapped. But we probably haven't seen that one yet. But the Grenadier Whirling Death here is very good for us. And so basically what we're doing, and what the community has been kind enough to do, is if they see something that isn't matched up, like that Lancer Warchef's pack, if it was in Relentless, they would say, hey, by the way, Lancer's in Relentless, and they're like basically just snipping us screenshots of the pack and sending it to us, either on Reddit or on Twitter right now, and we're updating the spreadsheet. So here we have 3 just really reasonable packs. Rearguard Assessor, Drummer Hopeful. Drummer Hopeful's probably a better pack for us right now. We have 3 rearguards. Maybe we need the 4th rearguard. We have 1 Hopeful right now. I kind of want the Drummer. Drummer's really powerful. Drummer Glory Seeker is actually insane. So we have Saboteur and Shunpo. We're gonna pick up the 1-drop. We just want the 1-drops because we're picking up Hopefuls. And Shunpo's okay. Just giving us another attack is okay. Guillotine Might's really strong. So here's another Hopeful and Whirling Death. And Drummer Decisive Maneuver. It was Shield Wall for those 2? Okay. So Shield Wall has the Lancer. Okay, I'll make a note. Lancer, Shield Wall. Thank you, bud. Appreciate that. All right, yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and get that updated after the. I want to get a second. But we're gonna pick up this. We just want as much removal as possible. We have 2 Whirling Deaths. 3 is very good. Another Trifarian Hopeful here. Again, we were like slamming the 1-drops. So we have Rearguard Saboteur. This is probably the best pack here. Just because of, again, like how aggressive we're trying to stay. There's a Might here. How many Mights do we have? We have 1 Might. I don't really want a second Shunpo. We're going to try to stay really aggressive here. And so what you can see, so here on our wild pick, you can see like once you hit a certain point in your draft, you're no longer offered like a second region in this example, but like a 3rd region in other examples. Because the algorithm's like, okay, this is what you're trying to do. Let me offer you the best cards possible, so that we can, help you get the best deck. What you're looking for. And so this is actually talked about down here. So yeah, it's mentioned here, like continuing our on the draft, the 5th pick, here we go. We have a seeded pack and a 3rd pack offering. And then as you continue to draft, the algorithm gets better at offering you cards for your deck. So you can see, basically how important it is for you to seed packs off optimally to get the best offerings. And you can see here that we're just getting, in this example draft that I do on in the Reddit post, you eventually just get offered exclusively good cards for your deck. Like, here's another Marauder, which we're going to pick up because it'll be our 3rd Marauder, a 2nd Trifarian Hopeful. So like what we're doing here is seeding our draft correctly and then drafting the best deck possible. And here we just have another Marauder here. We're picking it up 100%. Like, Marauders are insane. Plus it's another Whirling Death. It's just more removal. And then we have Grenadier Elixir of Wrath is probably good for us. There's also a Saboteur and a Minotaur Reckoner. We don't really have much top end, so we're gonna pick up the Saboteur and the Minotaur Reckoner. Reckoner's pretty solid top end here. Although the Elixir of Wrath is pretty helpful as well. And then there's another Marauder here. We're actually just gonna pick up the Marauder. The later Reckoner. We're gonna pick up the Marauder. And so what you can see here, chat, if we look at our deck, is what you can see is we have 4 Rearguards, 3 Saboteurs, right? We have 3 Grenadiers, 4 Trifarian Hopefuls. We have 5 Marauders, which is actually insane. 4 Whirling Deaths, and then like a smattering of other things. And while Katarina and Darius are going to be important in the deck, there are only 2 champions in this 30 card pile, right? And so it's much more likely that we're going to see our Legion Marauders. It's much more likely that we're going to see our Rear Guards and Saboteurs and our Whirling Deaths than we are going to see Katarina or Darius. And so the champions, while they are important, seeding a deck, seeding your draft to get a better deck is much more important than picking the champions.